This is a land of dreams and madness. Children's stories come to life.
Hello there, and welcome to Tales from Peridia. Today, we are joined by a very special birthday guest, because today's his birthday. He told me right before we started recording. Happy birthday, Mr. JosiahBrahh. How you doing today, good sir?
I am well, man. Thank you. Just came back from Barnes and Nobles and look at some of the Star Wars books of ones I have not read, and going back some old memories, like looking at one of those Encyclopedia Star Wars one, all the visuals ones that you see back in the prequels time. So, and also the original. So it was nice.
Heck yeah, man. Well, before we get into this podcast questions that I normally do, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself, where we can find you, like what kind of content you make, all that good stuff.
Well, yeah, folks, my name is JosiahBrahh, and that's the username that you see right there that you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. Right now, I'm still in a new process in a sense. So like my content is mostly Star Wars. If anything specific is lightsaber spins, which to me, that's like my therapy. And I do like spins like all the time, you know, and I'm a gym rat too as well. So I'm a nerd and a gym rat, and I love to talk about Star Wars and swing lightsabers too. And, you know, I just like to show content like that and build more of a community.
Heck yeah, man. Dude. The best I can do with saber spinning is the Obi and do it in reverse. Like I can't do all the fancy like footwork.
That's it. He was like, hey, what's your lightsaber? Let's go. Oh, Obi and they just call it quits. But hey, at least you do a reverse Obi that's what I got.
Well, I just basically need to charge this thing up and use it because it's a baselet. I don't really care if like I drop it and anything like that. Once you start getting into my yeah, like once you start getting into my my Luke or my Annie 2, it's like I don't really want to drop these. These were pretty petty.
Oh yeah. I bought most of my NeoPixel lightsabers, and that's what you'll probably see in most of my videos. And most of those were like, the ones that you probably see me spinning a lot more faster are the RGB ones because I really focus more on speed and get my technique down. Whereas the heavier ones, I do it more for visual, basically, and also too for weight as well because I need some muscles basically to swing on that lightsaber for shoulder rotation, this and that, and so yeah,
yeah. That's one thing about the NeoPixels. Visually, it looks a lot better on camera than the RGBs. Yeah. But like, I have no. I mean, I've smacked that thing up against the tree. I've chucked it when I've got mad, and it still turns on. Knowing my luck, I'll chuck or I'll drop.
Majority of my lightsabers are like NeoPixels. Yeah, only just one is RGB, but the brand I use is Theory Sabers, which is by the company by a guy named Star Wars Theory on YouTube. He has his own lightsaber business as well. And he has a really great team as well. And so
and you just flooded my comments with all the hatred. I don't understand the hatred towards the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's been some like business practices that he's done, like the Ahsoka sabers. Can't lie to you, man. That felt really cash grabby. Like $800 for a limited edition box. Like, bro, if I'm gonna spend $800, I'm gonna go get Mark Hamill's autograph, not an Ahsoka saber. I'm sorry, bro. Like it didn't look anything special. But like, I mean, I do like this is a Theory saber. My Luke saber is a Theory saber. Like, I like the dude. I love his channel. He's like the biggest inspiration for me starting Star Wars nerd.
But that was a little bit a little expensive, a little
yeah, it's like I saw that. I was like, bro, this is not worth it, considering I've seen other people do the exact same sabers for like way less. But I mean, I know he's got his reasonings. I've seen the video
that he did recently. Because I've been only did way different types of lightsabers since the 2000s. So like, I remember my very first lightsaber, you probably remember those. It was like I remember the marketing when Attack of the Clones came out when I was like 5. So, wow, surprised I remember. But It was around that time. It's like it's one of those things you got to hold out a big red button. You have to swing it to open it.
Dude, I had those. I remember them, man.
And we get to close it. Basically, you got to either close with palm of your hand, or sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you have to push it to the ground.
Yes.
So you close right back in. And then we get to those FX lightsabers though that you click and it just pops up and it lights up. It's all plastic and everything. And then, but when you have to close it though, sometimes it doesn't go down. You still have to push it down the old way. But you can, So there's that. And then those things back then really popular was I couldn't even get one. But I know one of my friends that got one, or at least my older brother's friends got one, but it's called those master replicas.
Bro, I didn't know those were a thing, honestly, until like a year or so ago.
Oh, man. Oh, no. You used to one of those Disney Legacy lightsabers from Disney, huh?
No, okay. So basically,
I mean,
so I didn't, as a kid, I didn't really like have the internet growing up. So like I had no idea like master replicas was like a thing. I just knew like the telescoping plastic ones and then like the electronic ones that went only like 3/4 of the way down.
right.
And then, as I got older, I did get access to the internet, obviously. And, the sequels came out. And when episode 8 came out, I just was like, yep, I'm done. I'm done with all of this. This is not what I signed up for. This is stupid. But then, I kept seeing clips for Clone Wars. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even like Clone Wars when it came out when I was 8 years old. Like the second I saw Ahsoka Tano came out,
we'll get to that in that conversation. There's a lot of things I'm gonna say on that though. But
well, listen, I was a stupid little kid, and I had the mentality of this is stupid. Anakin doesn't have a Padawan. This is stupid, George. What are you doing? This is dumb. But then I got older, and then I gave the movie another shot because I remember watching the movie in theaters when it came out for like some kid in my class's birthday, and I do remember just being, this is stupid. Anakin would never have a Padawan. Like they weren't in the movies. What is this?
No, I almost felt like I felt like that at one point. But no, but just so I won't forget about this one with the lightsaber though, right? Because here's my thing, how I look at Star Wars. I'm all for creativity and be authentic. We're not seeing that right now with Disney. We don't see that in their movies, their shows, not even in their products. And here's why I said that. So like massive replicas are the ones that got it right. Like for example, when the Darth Maul one came out as well, because they kept the sounds of that. It sounds like the exact same thing from the film. But whereas what you see now, these Disney Legacy sabers that you see at Disneyland and whatnot, and they don't even sound near the same. But I remember when Darth Maul one came out from Massive Replicas, like in the early 2000s. What we see now, you got to put them together. But at that time, it came in a whole long 13-feet box. So it was like you didn't have to worry about putting it together. It was already ready to go. And I like how they improved it over the years, though. And Hasbro did it right a few times with their Force Edition ones, I think.
I do think I've seen or had a couple of those. I honestly don't remember. I had a bunch of lightsaber toys over the years, just not master replicas.
Right, but just farther than that, it's just like with Star Wars Theory, when he did Theory Saber Company, when he first, I think the first video I saw when he did his lightsaber was early last year, right before he started his launch. And it was the prodigal son, Luke Skywalker's Return of the Jedi lightsaber. And just the sound, everything else, it was on point, perfect. The breathing sound is just like he did it perfect. And that's why I said I would prefer to spend more on lightsabers that's more authentic and as real as possible than I would of just getting a cash grab from Disney. Because here's what Disney did, if you really think about it. You know how you went to the stores back in 2000s? You see a whole aisle of just Star Wars toys and everything else. And that kind of died off in a sense when The Force Awakens came out. I think that's the last time they ever did something like that. But even just before Disney, it was like a whole aisle. Like you see episode 2s and 3s. Like I definitely remember episode 3 with all the figures. One of the first toys I had, it was hard for me to get figures at the time because we didn't really have much money. But one thing I did remember having is like a lightsaber and Darth Vader's helmet with the voice changer thing.
Dude,
crappy as it sounds, but it was like it's still nostalgic for me. But see, we don't see that right now. And that's what I was saying. What Disney decided to do in marketing, they decided to, well, you know what? We're no longer going to put these on shelf. We're going to put these either online or we're going to put it right in the parks and we're going to jack up the price, is what they did. Forget the old way. We're just going to like have them come to the parks, have them spend all this and that just to get that one thing. And then you look some of their lightsabers too. When I turn on the ignition of Obi-Wan's lightsaber, basically from Disneyland, when I did the ignition sound, I was like, this is not Obi-Wan. And I said, this is really not Obi-Wan. Because if you really pay attention to the ignition sound, look at in episode 3 or whatnot, it sounds more like a breeze. Almost sounds like Luke Skywalker one. It almost sounded similar to that. But when I turned to one from Disneyland, it was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, bro.
That's why I said, man, when it comes to like these things of Star Wars, I'm more for creativity and authenticity in the origins part. And then you can build upon that. But if you're going to do something, like if you're going to mingle something like for a character, for example, just to appease this audience, though, and bastardize this, that's a problem with me. And let me just bring that thought just so I won't forget, though. But really think about it, right? So when Maul came out, when the show Maul was announced, which I'm very excited about, because I knew, and I have a gut feeling that it's going to be good, but then I have to realize, okay, this Disney doing this one. I know, but it's just like for Sam Witwer, for the person he is, he's like basically the nerd lore of Star Wars. I know if he sees something that's not right with it, he would not even do it. And if he's not going to be the voice of Maul, then I know the show is not going to look good.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. And it's just like my whole problem is the characters that they have, how they use their legacy characters and they bastardize it in so many different ways. One example, like Loki from the MCU universe or something like that. I remember this whole debacle thing about his character is like bisexual, and Tom Hiddleston came in defense of that, right? And when he became a defense of that, my whole thing is like, okay, see, in some sense, people already, let's assume that people think that some of these characters of these legacy one, they may be straight, right? I'm just saying this as an example, though. But how they change it to his character in the show that he's actually a bisexual and this and that. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense to bring that as part of a creation. Why changing this or doing this now? So is it just to appease this and that? And you're going to market off that? That's a problem with me. But that's just my whole thing. You messing the origins. And then while you're trying to appease this audience and you're going to change some legacy background of that character to appease that's the issue with me. But that's the best example I can give for sure. I didn't want to get long drawn out of that. I just thought to bring that out. But
yeah, see, with everything that they announced over the last 3 days of celebration, like I'm excited for Maul and Ahsoka season 2, but I am cautiously optimistic. Like I have been burnt one too many times. Mm-hmm. I'm getting old, man. Like I'm starting to hate everything that they're coming out with. Like I ripped apart the Andor season 2 trailer because the music in it. Like why are you putting earthly music in Star Wars? Like I
mean, those things didn't, I wouldn't say much really bothered me in a sense. Like I can understand people want more of a galactic sci-fi type music. They wanted that type of vibe versus just more earthly things. People have issues with they're seeing more humans in Star Wars than they did with creatures or aliens like that, for example, you know? But, yeah, man, it's just insane. Just like I said about Maul, what I'm afraid of, I was like, I hope they don't bastardize his story afterwards. They'll make him to be a Pride Maul, but I'm just kidding. I can't imagine him doing something like that. No. Hey, nothing against Pride. I want to make sure we're clear on that. I'm a huge supporter of that. It's just my whole thing is if you're going to take something from the original, then you're going to mix to something only because you can market off this and to appease one side of the audience. If it's already fine as is, why stretch it more? But I'm really excited for the show, though, only because it will make sense of a timeline between that and then the Rebels, or what led up to the Rebels, how he saw Obi-Wan again and had a last duel fight. It really wasn't a duel. It was just like a fatality type. That's it. But I mean,
see, I'm really excited about it because my buddy Commander Jesse, he was at Celebration and he met Sam Witwer. And I don't know if you saw any of the leaked trailers, but there's a red Twi'lek that he comes up at the very end of it. And so if you know anything, about red Twi'leks and Darth Maul, Darth Talon, but that's why I don't want to get my hopes too high, because it's like, all right, I know what it could be, and then it comes out and it's like, yeah, no, it's just like one scene of him walking up to a Twi'lek, like. But my buddy Jesse he met Sam and he asked him, he was like, so what's up with that red Twi'lek at the very end of that trailer, man? Like, are we possibly getting the Darth Talon? Like, and of course, he gave I call it the Dave Filoni answer. He looked at me
according to NDA.
He was like, you saw that, huh? That's very interesting. That's very interesting, man.
Oh, man.
So it's like, oh, dude, I want to get really excited, but like I said, I've gotten myself way too hyped up in the past just for it to
the sequel's a huge letdown for you, huh?
Yeah. Like, I can't lie, freaking I liked Ahsoka. Ahsoka is good, but I got myself too hyped up with like the theories that were going around with it. And
I
then
did
when
for
the episodes dropped,
guilty of that. I'm definitely guilty of that with the hype when it came to the Acolyte, though.
Yeah.
But see, I knew where the show was heading as it gets closer, and I was like, I'm gonna give this a chance. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good. But no, it was just really another whole recreating a story of Anakin. That's really all what it was. And people would ask me. It was hard for me to even explain it, but when somebody said in that way, they said, "Well, we didn't like the show because it was basically recreating the story of Anakin and just like make up the whole new origins, make it similar to his, but in a different way." And I was like, "That's the best example that I wish I could have gone, but I'm gonna take that answer because that's literally what it was. It's just that alone because it's so obvious. You have these two twins basically who are witches, right?" And then you have this one guy that look at their midichlorian count. He's like, "Oh my God, their M counts are off the charts." What? No,
bro. Oh my God.
What?
Listen. So I tried to do reaction videos to the Acolyte, and Disney they smited all my videos like every time. But they somehow let me slide with the finale or like episode 7 or something like that, and or whatever episode it was that they said the midichlorians were extremely high. In my reaction, I was like, how high? What, 20,000 fucking midichlorians? God damn, come on, man.
Yeah, but I said, wait, the M counts are off the chart. I was like, that's Anakin, though. He can't. No, it doesn't work like that. And one of my friends is like, well, no, this is a whole different type of thing. It's not like it's similar to Anakin because they were different these type of ways. They're doing some sort of crazy spell with the witches. I was like, it almost sounds like how Plagueis basically created Anakin in a sense, though, but in different terms. But it's like, and then you have Plagueis. I almost said Plagueis. Lord have mercy. Did I say Plagueis or Plagueis? Okay. Oh my God. But Plagueis, though, right? How he appeared at the very end of Acolyte, you almost left it as a cliffhanger, as if he's looking off to what's his name. He's like, you know what? That seems like a good idea. Maybe I should do something like that. It almost gave that impression. Like how he was looking at them like, But I was like, no. I was like,
yeah, no. Fucking Plagueis would not get the idea from space witches. He would have gotten the idea of Sith alchemy from the teachings of the Sith.
Exactly, right? No, but that's what I was just saying too. And I was like, there's no way. And even me and my brother were talking about this earlier. I was like, okay, if that were to be true, then that means Anakin would have to know about the witches, or at least the Palpatine would have to already know of in Revenge of the Sith, and would at least have sort of background story of that. But none of that shit happened. This is just a made up story. We're just going to recreate this, and we're going to just shove it.
See, I had a really bad theory that if this would have gotten a season 2, that they would have tied in Shmi getting visited by the witches or some shit like that. And I'm like, I'm so glad that this show got canceled. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved Chimere in it. I want a show about Chimere. I honestly would not mind, if they made a Plagueis show or a Plagueis movie and they changed Venomous to Chimere. Like, I honestly would not mind that. I mean, I would hope that, he gets a little bit of a better ending, at least put up a bit of a fight. And, he's not just sitting in a Bacta tank for, 2 hours and 37 minutes. But
that's what I was hoping for, man. That's what I was really hoping for with the Acolyte. They will touch more of a story of Darth Plagueis because, it takes place during the High and Air, or at least it may not be 100 years before. Or maybe if they were talking about 100 years before, 1,000 years before, at least in that time frame.
Oh, no. They messed up their timeline. Yeah. They couldn't even figure out what
that's why I said they really messed it up. That's why I say if they're going to talk something in the past, they're going to talk about how there was a attempt of, I think it was Darth Bane, how they were trying to have the Sith rule the galaxy and everything else. They could talk about that. Or if not that too far, they could just already talk about to the point of Palpatine being raised, how he met Plagueis, and then just go in that direction and how it led up to Phantom Menace. That would make sense. And then
just adapt the Plagueis novel.
Yeah, I was like, as I said, that is a missed opportunity. Especially they put that one in Acolyte. I'm pretty sure that was a conversation waving around. They're like, we're not gonna do that. But I'm sorry. You said you did have questions, something like that. And
dude, you're good. Literally, this podcast is meant for rambling on, and like I think the last 4 interviews, I think I've maybe asked 5 of the actual questions because we just rambled on and got on tangents. But first one, because I love these stories. What got you into Star Wars?
So let me tell you this. So it all started with my brother. I was 3 or 4 years old or something like that. Didn't really much anything I watched back then was Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, all the nostalgia shows like SpongeBob or Kenan and Kel or all of that, Drake and Josh, all these shows. But I will say, I want to say when I was 3, but just to save bet, I'm gonna say 4. So there's a year before a year before Attack of the Clones came out. And my brother's like, hey, let's watch this, something like that. And I didn't know what he was talking about. We popped this little VHS bad boy here.
Dude, nice.
I don't care about the hate. I love it. It's always going to be my first Star Wars. So, I mean, that's just me. But when I popped this in and whatnot, oh my God, I instantly in love with it. I remember like it was yesterday, one of my favorite scenes I watched is closer to the ending scene, Battle of Naboo, and then the Duel of Fates fight as well. I remember like it was yesterday that I was wearing my mom's pink bathrobe and I used a broomstick to act like I was Darth Maul or at least a Jedi or something like that, as if I was like battling on Naboo. So I was running around and shit, probably naked or some shit. I don't even know, but I was like a Jedi, you know. And then my brother showed me the originals afterwards because when I told him, was there another movie? He said, oh, well, the next one's not going to come out until next year, which was Attack of the Clones. All right. And when Attack of the Clones came out, sadly, and I'm going to say this sadly, though, but unfortunately, I wouldn't say it's a hard miss. But as my brother went to go see Attack of the Clones, my parents dragged me to go see the first movie of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. And I was like, okay, it's not really a miss. They're both nostalgia because I will either miss one or the other, but I preferably because my brother showed me this, that he was going to take me to go see Attack of the Clones. But I mean, I was only 4 years old. He was about 14 at the time. I'm pretty sure he didn't want to watch me or something happened to me. And that's why my parents just dragged me to go see that. So, no, but definitely my brother's the one that got me to Star Wars. I thought is one of those cases that normally you probably hear a lot from other people is that, oh, their dad or their grandpa showed them Star Wars and this and that. But it's my brother, though. And I was loving it. I've been in love with it since then, man. And then watching VHS, episode 1 through 6 is always my Star Wars. That's just me. Especially the prequels is always like 1 to 3. That's mine. And then I remember my brother was showing me the originals. And first of all, I thought it was boring as hell for me because it was just a kid sitting out in the desert. And I was like, where's all the lightsaber scenes? Until it makes sense like 2 hours later into the film when Obi-Wan was fighting Darth Vader. And I was like, oh, it's really good. And I liked it. And like the Return of the Empire Strikes Back, which I got really hooked up to that one. And Return of the Jedi as well. And I just love it too. And that's what I was saying. When you grow up with Star Wars, not everybody learned everything at once. I know some of the highlights what happened in Star Wars, this and that, how he became when Darth Vader unveiled Luke that he's his dad and everything else, and how all the battle scenes of Andor. Like I remember this and that, things happened though. But the whole significance of it, the whole nerdiness, the lore of it, how we are discussing it, that, of course, that didn't came to my mind when I was a kid. But that's why the beauty of the thing of Star Wars, the beautiful thing is that every time you watch it, you're always going to learn something. So like when you watch it when you were a kid, it's fun. You see the action and it's cool and this and that, you know, some of the characters that you love. But as you get more into it, though, especially when the prequels came out, it's more as like a political, if you kind of think about it, because Star Wars is really about politics. And it's like when you study about the Empire and study about the rebels and everything else, you know, then it's like you got more hooked up and engaged in it. And I would say I got more understanding of Star Wars in this sense. And it took me a little bit later to find out, because even when I was like 10 years old, I know like a few highlights of it, you know. But when I got later to my teenage years, closer to now, I got a little more of the understanding. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all started with this bad boy, man, popping that little VHS in, man. That was a shit. Oh, I don't know if you saw this stuff. I was holding my Darth Maul too as well. So
yeah.
I actually met Ray Parks. I actually met Ray Park back in 2019 for the 20th anniversary for the Phantom Menace. And I was telling him, because he was like one of the first, I'm for sure he is him. He's like the very first Star Wars celebrity that I met was Ray Park, though. As soon as I saw he was invited to my hometown convention, I was like, I have to go. I have to go. Hey, you know what? The only thing I saved up for, because I didn't have much to store all these autographs, I just bought photo op. But even when we took photo ops, sometimes photo ops at conventions like quick, he literally took the time to talk to me, you know. And when I heard his voice for the first time, he's Australian. I was like, whoa, Australian ball here, huh? And and then also I watched the Clone Wars too as well. The Clone Wars, that's what I was going to tell you early in the beginning of the video. With Clone Wars, I would say it's a mix with me. I mean, I loved it. The very first Clone Wars I saw was a movie before I even came to the show. But yeah, Anakin having a Padawan, this and that, it wasn't like, wait, what? Why does he have a Padawan? It wasn't really that with me. It was more of the storyline of all the connectivities. Because if you think about it, season 1, 2, and 3, it was almost jumpy. It's like talk about one mission after another and this and that. Yeah. And that's, I will say, when I was like 11 or 12, I almost literally got confused and I almost, in a sense, stopped watching the show because it's like, where's really the connection? But then I decided to watch it again just last year. Like, I remember like the arcs. Like, I remember the Darth Maul arcs. I remember that one. And when somebody told me about that and Darth Maul came back, I was like, wait, what? How does it even happen? And, you know, I was like, even possible? But then until I watched it last year. But like I said, I remember when I watched some of the highlights and this and that, but it's like I've been so mixed up between the one season to the other and other arcs from the other. I'm just like, shit, you know what? I'm just gonna wait till everything comes out and then go from there. And I didn't watch season 7 until just last year.
Bro, I'm pretty much
what
the
happened,
same way.
Like, yeah.
Like I watched a bit of the Clone Wars. I watched the Clone Wars movie. I watched a bit of the show when it came out when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, something like that. You know, if nothing else was on, like if they weren't showing any good episodes of SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents, I'd throw the Clone Wars on because that was like the only other thing on TV.
Yeah,
but
network, man. Yep, that was shit.
That or like they would be showing like something like a new episode of a show that I was into on Cartoon Network, and it was like, all right, well, there's nothing else on. I got 30 minutes until the new episode of, like, I don't know, Foster's Home or something like that.
Foster Home, Imaginary Friends, man. You're talking all the good shit. I remember.
Just say it's something like that. A new episode of that, and Clone Wars is right before. I watched the Clone Wars before then, but then when Ahsoka was coming out, I kept seeing all these clips of, like, emotional scenes from the Clone Wars, and, like, you know, I don't show it on camera, but like if I'm watching Star Wars alone, like I'll get really emotional. Like,
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
So I kept seeing, you know, like the emotional scenes from Clone Wars and stuff like that, and then I saw the clip of Kanan and Jarrus dying from Jedi Knight from Rebels, and I was like, bro, I gotta see like what is the context to these scenes, like. Why are these like 30-second clips giving me these emotions and I don't even know like the story behind what's even going on?
Exactly. No,
So I
okay, I
went
would
back and
say,
watched it, and it was amazing, dude.
and outside the primary characters, like before Ahsoka was like, I will say the first one I will say I will know more of than all the other characters. When I'm talking about outside of characters, I'm talking about uh, before that show was even made. Nobody's even know what Ahsoka is, though.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the Clone Wars, like this and that, I didn't really much care about. Well, don't get me wrong, I love Captain Rex and everything else, right? And I like Fives. I like all the rest of the Clone Troopers and Commander Cody as well. And I love the Bad Batch too. But it was just like, just with Ahsoka, how she's like brand new into Star Wars, this and that. That was the only character that I would say that I really do like, And she has so much development over the years in Clone Wars as well. How she's just trying to be the best version of herself and be the best one. As Anakin always pressured her that you have potential, this and that, and you're part of the legacy here. Use it, And that's why I love about Ahsoka too. And then when I watched the show, I almost procrastinated on it so many times before the night last. And now I'm gonna watch next week. I was like, no, I'm gonna watch it. Instantly fell in love with it, and yet did I not forgot that is basically a season 5 of the Rebels.
Yeah.
And I'm about to watch Rebels for the first time since it first came out. So I never watched the Rebels in full.
Really?
Because and here's why I said that. With the Rebels, basically it is a season 5, but it's just I didn't really get much hooked up in that show because I mean, even when George Lucas did, it wasn't one doing it. I just felt like, I don't want to watch Clone Wars. Yes, I will watch. Like I said, I watched it back then. Rebels, the only things I did watch was the highlights when Darth Vader was in it. And I was like, okay, I'll watch it. That was it. I was like, forget everything else, forget everything else. Oh, he's in there, I'll watch it, And I watched the highlights. I know there's a few things that happened. There's some things that I may have missed. But see, it's one of those storytellings that do I want to really fully myself invest in? Do I need to understand Star Wars? Do I have to watch this to understand Star Wars, basically, right? So it's more of an investment if I really want to put my mind into it and know what happened, because I know the time frame that it took place. But it's like, is it really worth my time being that I want to watch it? So, because, if you think about it with Star Wars, it has multiple different types of tracks of storytellings, basically, in a sense. So it's like you have Jedi, which is the most controversial one when Disney does it. There's Jedi. So with Jedi, you have the prequels. Yeah, unfortunately, the sequels. You have that. You have the originals. Anything and around Jedi storytelling. Ahsoka is basically one of them, right?
Yeah.
Now, then you have a Rebel and Alliance type of storytelling. Like you have basically a little bit of Ahsoka. You have the Rebels, the show. You have Rogue One. You have Andor. So it's more of a human side of storytelling, and it's us humans trying to take down the Empire. You have that storytelling. Then you have bounty hunter storytelling, which the Book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorian. So it's like with Star Wars was so unique. There's different types of storytellings with different set of type of characters: Jedi, Rebels, bounty hunters. And me, I lean towards to Jedi because that was like my first, So when it's Jedi storytelling, of course, it's going to include like a Sith type storytelling, like we're going to get with Maul, And I wish they'd done a Vader series too, but who knows, man? But yeah, but like I said, there's always different types of storytelling. So it just really depends on what you want to get into. And at that time, it was just not it for me. I was more of a Jedi type storytelling. Whereas Rebel Alliance didn't really much. I mean, well, Rebel, like watching the Rebels, I could just watch the originals and call it as is, even though not Rogue One, but the originals, it's mix of Jedi storytelling, but it's also mostly Rebels if you kind of think about it as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like at that time that was enough for me. I didn't need to watch the Rebels animated show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had that same mindset with it's funny you mentioned Rogue One and say like, oh, if I want to see that, I could just watch this. Like the first time I ever watched Rogue One, it took me 4 days to actually watch it because I thought it was just so boring. I just kept like pausing it and like doing something else or like falling asleep.
That's one of the best Star Wars movies I will say in Disney era that was made. Was Rogue One.
I will agree with you on that now. After my second rewatch, I don't know what clicked with my mind, or maybe I was just like in such a good mood. Like I watched it, I was like, bro, this is actually really good. Like it's shot very well. The story's actually really good,
That was
but
like
I
our
was
1977 Star Wars right there, because we saw Darth Vader and this and that. That's our 1977 Star Wars right there, man. So
but it was just so funny because I was doing a ranking video or like a tier list video, and I finally finished Rogue One, and I was talking about, I was like, you know, you think that a movie about the rebels getting the plans for the Death Star would be very interesting, and then I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, wait a second. I can just watch A New Hope if I want to see the rebels get the plans for the Death Star. Get the hell out of here.
yeah, but in the originals though, they already had the plans though.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, we need how they got the plans. There's a story right there to tell. So I think that's really how they had to do things with Star Wars. It's hard for them, and I think that's where Disney's under pressure now with many of their fans as well. Is that now their only thing left? They can't mess up the originals. They can't mess up the prequels or this and that, because anything's sacred. And I'm gonna call it sacred because us Star Wars fans, the lore, we consider those sacred archives. Like you can't mess with this one. So like what they did to Acolyte, how that show went shot to hell basically, because what they did, they messed up the timeline and they put Kiamandi in, which I thought it didn't make any sense. I was like, wait, what? Because wasn't he the Phantom Menace said that, oh, there hasn't been a Sith or something like that in many some years, but then he go appearing in the show. I was like, wait a minute. So that's why with these things, that's why I say, well, the most controversial part what Disney always do when it comes to storytelling is usually when it's like Jedi type storytelling. And I'm very specific on that. You don't see much of hate with The Mandalorian, because why? We didn't get The Mandalorian. Is Disney made. It's nothing that we didn't have before. The only bounty hunters we probably know of at the time was from the originals. We know these bounty hunters, this and that. We didn't have Cad Bane. We didn't have Djarin, the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
So we didn't see those, but we got the opportunity now. So therefore, when you make new storytelling, it's not really much of a backlash because it's something new. So, and the only time you see backlash, if it's something that has already been made, but it's been adjusted or tweaked a little bit to appease that and this, that's where everything just like spilled. So, like, for example,
you take a legacy character and make him a fucking hermit on a goddamn tropical resort for like 50 something years, and then he just throws lightsabers over fucking cliffs. I'm not even going to get into it because I'm going to just work it myself up and I'm going to get really mad.
yeah, but just with that too. And you know what? People have mixed feelings what I said, but I love the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I love it. I think there should be a second season, though. And I think now it was, I think his guy's name is Mr. Beatty, I think, because Star Wars Theory even interviewed him on his show.
Yeah, Stuart Beatty.
Yeah, Stuart Beatty, yeah. Him. So how he did it was just perfect. I think that show, it was good, but it was a huge missed opportunity.
Well, his was a movie.
Yeah, but his was a movie, though. It would probably have been like, I think it would have been like 2 or 3
I think it was like a trilogy. I think it was a trilogy. Something like that.
I wish we got that. Even Ewan McGregor himself said, some of the sources I saw, that he preferred that he at one point that it should have been good ideas done as a movie, though. And now we only got the show. And it's like, I think there's more stories to tell. I think they should do another season 2 and really make up, because I think there's a lot more that happened than just that.
I'll argue against a season 2 just for the sole fact that I think that they need to stick with live action for movies and animation for shows, because I
agree with that. Yeah.
As much as I hate to admit it, 95% of Disney's animation shit has slapped with me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tales of the Empire you can leave that at the door.
Tales of the Jedi was really good, though.
Dude, Tales of the Jedi was so good, and I'm looking forward to Tales of the Underworld. Like, apparently, that first episode, they showed it at Celebration, and it's really good.
Yeah, because when they show Asajj Ventress, I mean, we kind of already have a sense where she kind of went through. So it's like, what's really more to tell about her character,
Well, apparently this picks up after Dark Disciple, like after she apparently died, and it shows like how she survives or gets brought back or whatever it is that happens. So I'm very excited to see how they do this.
Darth Bane one is the one that really intrigued me. I was like, okay, we didn't really hear much about that. We just know how badass he is. But we saw in his childhood and this and that, when they show a little bit of that, it's like, okay, yeah, this is gonna look interesting. So that's the only thing one. But I would say Asajj Ventress, she's just as interesting though.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
like with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, man, like I said, I think that was just a huge miss. But if that's the best they can give, I would say kudos for them, though. Out of 10, probably give the show like maybe a 7, 6.5, or 7. But I mean, like I said, it really brought the
you're slightly higher than me. I did enjoy it. I'd give it like a 5. If I wanted to be like really nitty gritty and be an asshole, it's like a 3 or a 4. Just because Reva, I'm sorry, there's no fucking way a goddamn youngling is surviving a fucking lightsaber stab to the chest or the stomach.
I'm gonna challenge you on that one. So let me challenge you on that one, because you know what? I hear that, and I said though myself, but then I had to think about it, because remember, all right, you really hear me on this one, because people say, well, she should have died as soon as she got stabbed with a lightsaber, but then Darth Maul came back when he got cut in half, so it's like, I don't know how to really.
I'll argue this. You're telling me a fucking youngling knew how to survive the lightsaber stab, but fucking Qui-Gon Jinn didn't know? Really?
Wait. But see, I think, how do I put it this way? When she explained the story, I remember she was playing dead. I don't remember, like, there was a scene showing her getting stabbed, but I think that's like a figurative imagination, as if she's about to get stabbed by Darth Vader and she was looking back for. I don't think she really got stabbed when she was when she was a youngling, though. That's why I had to rewatch it, because I think that was more of a type moment that how she looked at Vader, she saw Anakin, this and that, and when she got stabbed, she probably saw Anakin sawing her friends, but I don't know if she was stabbed or not. I don't even remember. Or something.
I'm going with the fact that Disney just doesn't like to make lightsaber stabs lethal unless you're like Chimere and the Acolyte and you got to do like 3 quick stabs. I know. Or you got to kebab at least like 4 Jedi on one lightsaber, then it works.
Yeah. But like I said, no, I get that, how she survives the youngling, this and that. But it's just like, that's what I was just saying. I had to watch that scene again about if she really got stabbed or was she like actually got hurt, because last I remember she pretended that she was dead or something like that until he goes away. But it's just like I said, Maul was cut in half though, so it's like, if we're gonna bring him back, the hatred on bringing Reva back, I can understand, but at the same time we had this happen, so it's like it's hard to conflict that. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, but they showed Maul getting, the magic powers from Mother Talzin. I mean, come on now. They explained it.
If you think about it, he received his powers and everything, yes. But if you also know, studying the Sith, though, too, they had a sense of immortality because of their hatred. And that's why he was able to succumb to his injuries. Like, it was one part. It was in like a picture or something like that. I don't know if it's AI, but I swear it was in the comics, but it was not canon, of course. But, or unless it was, I don't even know. But I'm going to send this to you later tonight. But it was showing Maul crawling out of that hole that he was at during the dual phase. So, like, Qui-Gon Jinn's body's already gone. Obi-Wan is gone. And it's showing
that
Maul.
Sounds sick as fuck. Dude, I can't even lie to you.
What?
That sounds sick as fuck.
Dude, it was like a picture. I'm almost saw it, but it looks like Maul, in a sense, crawled out of that little pit that he was in. And then it was his whole body showing blood and everything, holding his lightsaber still, something like that. I'm gonna share that with you,
bro.
When I saw that shit, no, it was crazy. I'm gonna see.
Okay, that's sick. That is sick.
I know, but
bro.
when I saw that shit, I was like, "Wait, did that actually happen?" But in the show, he actually did fall down and got trapped. He had to build himself be a spider and all that shit. But that shit would have happened. Okay, that's just.
Yeah, bro. Like, that sounds fucking amazing.
Man,
imagine we got something like that, like in a PTSD flashback in the Maul show.
Dude, oh my god, I'm trying to find that picture. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you. But dude, somebody shared that shit, man. There you go. This shit right here. Somebody created this art, and just imagine they did something like this, right? So like, oh shit, I don't know if you can see, but maybe if I just darken up this image a bit. All right, let me do it this way. Look at this shit,
bro.
And he just come out all the blood dripping and shit. He came out of that. He just like survived. Imagine
that would
they
be
did
so
that shit.
Sick. That would be so sick.
Because somebody created this one, and I was like, that would be insane. It's like, what? And this is like, and somebody who did this picture, they said this takes place immediate after Obi-Wan grabbed Qui-Gon Jinn's body, and they were already gone. And then Darth Maul all of a sudden just came out of that with his lightsaber ready, like, I ain't done yet type shit.
Bro, that would be so fucking sick.
No. I saw that shit. I thought I was real. I was like, that actually in the comments, that shit happened. But no, we know like what actually happened. But they done that shit, man. I was like, what? This is cool to show that though.
Yeah. Oh. All right. So next question we always typically ask on here is who's your favorite character in all of Star Wars?
I always said this one, but I'm gonna be the unpopular guy to say, well, I should not probably be a popular guy saying it though. Outside of Anakin, because I want to say Anakin, but I explained that story like I think that's 90% of people will want to say, but I'm just gonna say Mace Windu. That or
get out. We can't be friends anymore. Anakin's my favorite. No, we can't do this. No, no, I'm fucking with you, bro. I mean, I hate Mace Windu, but
Mace Windu, that man. You know what? Shit, he was such a unique character, bro. I mean,
I'll give credit where credit's due. Dude was a fucking badass in the original 2D Clone Wars. Like, bro, just like force punching and like making everything like he's just taking down droids with his bare hands, bro.
Just look at it. See, well, Mace Windu. Here's what I will say I like about him, because like he's one of my favorite characters, definitely. But of course, if I were to say that's a original conversation, this is the first time that we're doing this, I'll say Anakin Skywalker for many reasons. His character development, what he has gone through, basically, I can really interpret that, or at least in a similarity, I can share that experience with my life, what I've gone through as well, how he had to overcome these struggles, this and that, and how he lose someone, and he's just want to be the best of himself and everything. And while everybody around him just like downgrading him and just like they want to give him no chances. Well, I gotta say something about Mace Windu, though. But the reason why I had to say something, look, when Mace took him out, really think about it though. He was the only out of all the Jedis, I would say he's a realistic one, if you kind of think about it. Because he already knew the bullshit that's happening. Like he already knew something was up with Palpatine and everything else than what everybody else did, basically. How he's like with Anakin, he's like how he's too close to Anakin. It's like that. I don't trust him. Yeah, and I think Mace Windu, he's like the most realistic Jedi that he can ever be, and that's what I just like about him. Because purple means bold. If you think about it, that's really me. It means boldness. So it's like, why would you hate that? I mean, shit. Because and I wish he killed him though. I wish he killed not killed Anakin, but like killed Palpatine though. But we all know what happened.
I will say, I don't know if it's true or not. But I've always, have you seen those memes where it's like somebody crying or like I can't even think of like the meme that they usually use with it. Oh, it's the brother-in-law from fucking Breaking Bad, and he like looks up and he's like, "What?" And it says like when you find out Mace Windu was gonna make Anakin a master after they took down Palpatine, and I was like, I have no idea if that's true, but if that is true, I'm like, Anakin, you dumb fuck. Why didn't you just stay in the council chambers?
Man, exactly. Oh, how the trilogy would turn, though.
Oh, my God.
That would just change everything. And you know what? Even with Palpatine, too, at one point, he was going to let Anakin die on Mustafar, if you really think about it. And here's why I said that. Because he really groomed him since he was a little boy. And every choice that Anakin made led to this moment. Sounds familiar, huh? And it's led to that point when Palpatine got this far with Anakin, he was going to become a more powerful Jedi. He was going to be 100%, but ever since what happened to Mustafar, now he's like 60%, basically.
Yeah.
And Palpatine's like, shit. Look what I had to go through. I'm already shocked to hell with my whole lightning and shit. Look what I had to go through just so you could turn into this. And what the fuck? I was like,
yeah.
But then he had a little empathy for Anakin. He was more like a father to him. So that's why he's let Anakin live.
Actually,
like his master
I'll
plan
argue
was
the
very
empathy
interrupted
part
by that moment because he realized how this really would have fucked up everything. If Anakin were to die, it would be easily for the Republic to regain back its power if it wasn't for Darth Vader, basically, because really the whole story is a Skywalker saga for a reason. It really does center around Anakin.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask
I'd
you
argue
this crazy question. This is really debatable, but this just came to my mind. But could anybody done what Anakin did as the chosen one, like not decided like come to, excuse me, how he decided to come back to the light? Can any Jedi just done that? Why it has to be him? But what makes Anakin special? I don't know, but it's like that just came to thought.
Well, Revan went to the dark and came back. Well, Revan was kind of forced back into the light. They kind of wiped his mind.
Yeah.
Well, Bastila Shan. No, not Bastila. God damn it. What's her name? God damn it. She's Mace's Padawan.
I mean, of course, he's a chosen one. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, could any Jedi done what he did, though? It was like,
what do you mean? Like
as far as like, you know, coming back to the light, because you know how when they became the Sith, something like that, it's hard for them to like go back to be what they once was, you know. But it's like, what was it really? Because I know the prophecy was a attempt to overthrow the Sith and everything else. I get that. But like, where's really the significance of that? Everybody could have done the same thing, or at least maybe I'm not making sense, but it was just a question that came to my mind. Like, what really made Anakin special? He's the most powerful Jedi that we know of. But did it really only thing that it took was him, basically, to like somewhat?
Well, the prophecy does state that a chosen one will come born of the Force or born of no father,
right,
and bring balance to the Force. Little fun fact: if you haven't read the Revenge of the Sith novel, Obi-Wan Kenobi like goes up to Padme and tells her like the chosen one doesn't have to be a Jedi. Like literally, like Anakin could have just like grown up on Tatooine, gotten fucking sick and tired of their shit, like destroyed everybody, and then like went and took down Palpatine like no problem without having to be a Jedi.
That's what I'm saying. And look, and listen, like Luke Skywalker, he's like the hero of the saga, like he saved the galaxy. But look what happened with Rogue One. All it took for them to hand the Death Star the plan just for Darth Vader was about to kill that rebel. If you saw that one scene, how he was at the door, he's like, "Here, take it." He's a real hero if you kind of think about it.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he's a real hero. I said, look, we got Luke Skywalker and everything else, but this shit right here is what have been whole.
Imagine if Vader got into him a half a second sooner.
Huh?
Said, imagine if Vader got to him half a second sooner.
So like those are like the hidden heroes that would have been big, but people don't really pay attention to. Because just as we know of, not all heroes wear a cape. So that's what I was just saying. I was just saying, I don't know if I was like really making sense of all this, but I was just saying, could it just, like you said, how they could have took down Palpatine, this and that. Why does it have to be Anakin though? What made him the special guy? You know, that was just my whole thing. I was just really like just curious on that though, because
he's Anakin Skywalker. That's what makes him special.
He's Skywalker, of course. That's it.
He's the only Skywalker to lose all 4 limbs.
Exactly right. Runs in the family.
Oh man. Well, so I like to try to keep this between like an hour and 15 minutes.
No, you're good, bro. You're good.
Sometimes I get busy or something pops up and I don't really know everybody's schedule. So we'll ask like 1-2 more questions and then we'll do the outro and get out of here, my guy.
No, you're good, man. Yeah, have it on.
This has been a fun ass interview, bro. Like I've been enjoying interviewing the last few people. Like
we had a whole conversation going too, so we didn't make it long and drawn out. It was something like interesting questions and theories that we have too, so that's made it engaging. So
dude, yeah, man. I mean that's what I think the community is about, is just like, you know, talking and, you know, going off of like sharing theories and like other opinions. And I mean, like, yeah, sure. You like Mace Windu. You said he's he's your favorite character, and I don't like Mace Windu, but I'm not sitting here telling you to, you know, go kill yourself, you damn racist. You don't like Anakin because he's white.
You don't like Mace Windu because he's black and everything, huh? Yeah. I'm all for inclusion and all that.
Like, I mean, everybody that I've met, like, we all have different opinions. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all have very similar opinions when it comes to like Disney Star Wars stuff.
Mhm.
But like, even like when like, okay, so I somewhat liked Skeleton Crew. One of my buddies absolutely fucking hated Skeleton Crew, but guess what? We still have civil conversations every time we discuss
Right.
Skeleton Crew.
That's what you come back to, because see, when people, when they talk to me, they say, "Oh, sorry, you're anti-inclusion." When I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, if you think about it, Star Wars, that's what makes us inclusion and different. We all have different ideas and different theories and everything else. We're not being anti-inclusive or something like that, because in their terms, they think that, oh, we hate gays and this, that's like, that's not the case at all. We just want good storytelling. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are and this and that. You know, so it's just don't. When something's already been like an origin and it was meant to be for that character, and then you were to change it for marketing purposes, you know, just to appease this sort of audience, then that's just a problem with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, Star Wars, if you think about it, it's always been about politics, so nothing's making political out of it.
Dude, the only type that they don't count. All right, so 1 second. I'm sorry, my dog is fucking going crazy right now.
What y'all think, though? I actually got this at Phoenix Fan Fusion years ago, back in 2019, and I've been collecting at least, I will say, about 20 or 30 boxes of these. So I should start one pretty soon. But yeah, I got a lot of these.
Oh,
just talking a little bit about my
sorry
figures.
about that. My dad just pulled up and my dog is going fucking crazy.
No, you're good. I was just telling you a little, your audience here, showing you about my figure, where I got this from, and so.
But what I was trying to say before my dog rudely started interrupting me was the only thing that they don't include in anything, you know, like the only kind they don't serve in the Star Wars universe is droids.
Right.
I mean, they don't serve them at Mos Eisley, and then they got droids telling droids that they don't serve their kind in Attack of the Clones.
Racist. Racist. You don't accept me because I'm a golden droid? Because I'm gold? You didn't accept me because I'm gold. Oh, but you'll take this guy over here, but not me. Ain't one of your servers over there are droids as well? What they're doing? Well, they're accepted. Now I must say, you know what? If we're already going to get into this, I'm trying to like figure out about what Padme's case is. Padme a racist too? I mean, look, think about it. You have the Tusken Raiders and whatnot, right? Those Tusken Raiders that Anakin killed. He killed the women, children, and everything else, and that didn't bother her. That didn't bother her at all. But it bothered her when he killed the younglings. When he killed humans.
Yeah, bro, listen. I have tried to make that make sense for the past like 13 fucking years, and I can't make it make sense whatsoever.
I said, wait a minute. You loved him even after he killed women and children that is not of your kind, but you will still willing to stay with Anakin after that part you did. That was a straw in the line. Are you racist? So
no, Padme just picks and chooses her fucking red flags.
I know that's always been like a controversial type, but I mean, hey, I have to say it.
Oh my god, dude, that's fucking hilarious. I love that. Breaking news.
No problem him killing the Tusken Raiders would not kill women and children, but when it came to him, it was, oh no, that's a bridge too far.
Bro, I've always made fun of the fact that she completely takes him seriously and falls in love with him after saying that he slaughtered them like animals. But then when Obi-Wan's like, yeah, he killed the youngling, she's like, no, he didn't. There's no way he'd do something like that.
I was like, hello? Yeah. Did you see like episode like 2? Like some shit?
Like, were you not there like fucking 3 years ago? Get the fuck out of here.
I'm just saying that shit I'll never understand, but I was like, okay.
Hey, well, it's like have you seen the video of the dude who like did all the science of like the like force and like newtons or whatever it was that would have like shot through Padme's fucking crotch when she jumped off the pillar onto the fucking
no.
beast.
What? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh nah, we ain't going there.
Like Padme's just there's a lot of explaining to do here.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so you mentioned earlier about going to Barnes and Nobles to find books that you haven't read. What's your favorite Star Wars book that you've read?
Well, you know, so I was looking at a lot of books. A lot of them were like Legends, though. I will say I don't know if I even read much about Legends, but I read like a lot of comics that came back in the early 2000s. The books, like literally just words, no pictures or anything like that. The ones I read, and they tweak it a little bit different at that time, but it's one of those movie storytelling books, like one of those big, thick ones, basically. So it's like Phantom Menace, because even at the bottom it says too, is like it's a resemblance of the screenplay one, but they add like little few things on top of that, little nitty gritty stuff. So I read those back then, and I think the first one I read, surprisingly, it was not the prequels one; it was actually the originals.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so I read the book of the original ones as well. It's just called Return of the Jedi, and I just read that, just a book version of it. So
dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I could have watched prequels, but I mean, prequels, the movies are just good enough. I mean, I really don't need to watch. Not watch, like read the books, but it's like when I look at the original ones, every time I go there to the Barnes and Nobles when I was really little, I always pick up where I left off. And I think the youngest I read those books was when I was like 7, so it was like 2007, I will say. The book I have not ever read, and I regret them not reading it back then, but it came out when I was like 9. But my brother showed me about it. I think it was a story of just Darth Vader. It takes place immediately right after Revenge of the Sith. I forgot what it was called, but it came out in
Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader.
I think it was like that
bro.
one, yeah.
I'm reading that one right now for like the 4th time, bro. It's so fucking good.
I'm just gonna, honestly,
good.
I just can't read with my own eyes. I'm just gotta listen to audio. I'm sorry, just gotta listen to audio. I'm just I'm not a reading person. When it comes to Star Wars, I don't like to read. If anything, I'm willing to read. It has to show pictures. I'm sorry. I need some show visuals. That's just me. That's just like better my understanding. That's why I said everybody's just different how they read about Star Wars. You know, people say, well, the books are better. Well, I said, well, I like the movies. I haven't read the book. So therefore I said movies are better. I'll be really that. I listen, but really subjective, just that only. But it's like, but now I'm more open minded. I was like, nah, I like to read them, the comics of it too. And it was like one part of the comic. I still cannot remember what it was called, but it was about when it was Darth Vader. He was like very upset. I forgot what scene it, but it's like he murdered all the Jedi's basically when he was like interrogating everybody. Said, "Where's Kenobi?" or something like that. And he just like killed all of them. I'm trying to figure out what book that was, but it was,
I have no idea.
Dude, it was so good though. But I'm gonna try to find it. But yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I listen to a lot of things on Audible just because they got like the music and the sound effects, and it's just I'm not a big reader. Like despite all this, like if it's on Audible, I probably have it on my phone.
Yeah, listen, like, don't get me wrong, but certain things I'll read. Like for example, I'm the guy who likes to talk about politics all the time. I ain't gonna go much in that, but it's like I like to talk about politics all the time. I read articles. I read from different perspectives of opinion sources, basically. So I like to read those things, and it's intrigued me and look at statistic data. Like those things, I read everything else. But when it came to Star Wars, I was like, I need something more visual.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Disney does it right to do a Vader series. The only person that did it right, or at least in a sense before it comes out, is when Star Wars Theory now having a Vader episode 2.
Yeah.
I was like, see, this is Star Wars. This shit is what we should have right now. But hey, if the best thing they're gonna give us is Darth Maul series, though, I'm good with that. I'm fine.
Yeah.
For now, but yeah.
Oh, all right. So last question before we get out of here is there any tips or words of wisdom for the people watching at home?
Tips or words of wisdom. All right, I'll say the most Yoda term. How about I'll say it like in Yoda voice. Do or do not. There is no try. Do or do not. There is no try. I had to carry that with me, I will say, for nearly a decade, or at least ever since that saying, I always carry that with me. Because there's no such thing as try. It's either you do or you don't. The only time when you do these things, you're committed. And when you're committed, or at least before you commit, You had to already thought things through and this and that, what's the better approach, how you go about executing this task or this and that. Well, no matter what you do, it's just that. Do or do not, there is no try. So it's like when you're going to do it, do it. Now, and let's say you fall short or something like that, make a mistake, own it. You know? And it's like, for example, like with Disney, for example, own your mistakes. You know what you did was shit. So
nah, man, it's the fans. The fans are to blame. They made it.
Yeah,
shit.
exactly. Exactly. Take ownership. We fucked it up. Okay, we fucked up the sequel. And I think in a silent way, they're saying it. You know what? Fuck the sequels. We did it so bad. I think they say it in the most silent way, but they try like not to talk about it. But of course, then you're gonna have a whole nother Rey Skywalker arc. I don't want to say Rey Skywalker. I just want to call it Rey, though. But
I mean, I call her Mary Sue Palpable Walker. So.
Yeah. Bro, okay, look, let me just say this, all right? Because people will think I'm just an all-out Disney hater. I don't hate Disney only because I love the classic. That's just my childhood, you know? And Disney is by far will be the first, and only will be the first. They gave us a Star Wars park. And I say that's the closest thing that I can really live out an active Star Wars. Yeah, that's First Order Troopers isn't that, but it still got me that kid excitement only because that's the closest thing to a trooper that we're gonna see anyway. And when I saw Rey at the park, I'm like, oh, look, it's Rey Skywalker. Even though I didn't like the character, but I was like, hey, look, it's Rey. He's the Jedi. Look at that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. I might not like Rey. I hate the fucking sequels, but whenever I see like posts of like kids meeting Rey or something like that at Galaxy's Edge, I'm like, okay, who am I to like bash on that kid? Because that make me no better than the people that bashed on the prequels.
They
when
now
I was
have Luke
growing up.
Skywalker walking around the park. They have Mandalorian. They have Boba Fett. They have Ahsoka Tano. Like, I mean, they bring these people back, and even for Star Wars night, they do like they show a side of the prequels. They show Anakin there, and they show all that. But it's like those are like my childhood too. So it's like they really, and that's why I said with that, if that's the closest thing you can give me, I'm not gonna really hate you for that because I love going to Galaxy. That's like one of my favorite places I love going to. I went there for my 27th birthday. I'm gonna go again sometime around Christmas time just to see what it's like there. I don't care what the tradition is or whatnot, but it's just I get to live out my Star Wars adventure. I could go to Cantina. What else to complain? You know, but the only thing I'm not going to buy over there anymore is their damn lightsabers. So, especially now, if I were to get one thing, a lightsaber is basically one of those build your own type thing at Savage Workshop. I'll do that for the sake of my childhood. I would do that part. But for those legacy lightsabers I've been pre-made, no, I'm just getting NeoPixel ones and buy Theory sabers. So, that's just it, though. But see, when I say these things, people really thrown off and they look at me as, oh, Josiah, you're a right winger. Well, actually, no, I'm actually, look. Even all this shit I'm telling you now, man, I'm actually a liberal. But I'm telling you this shit because I just know, you know? But it's just like, and it doesn't matter like what political affiliation you are. I know what I stand for. I know what my beliefs are. Because I said this thing, does this make me like a Republican or a right winger? No. That's just like my opinion, how I look at his ass, you know?
Yeah.
We need to get away from, oh, well, you're a MAGA or you're this and that. We need to get away from that and just respect people's opinion that this is just what I like. Doesn't make me this and that. I know what I stand for. I know my political affiliation. I'm a liberal. You can call it what you want, but I know my beliefs with Star Wars, and some people may twist it as like, oh, I'm basically a right winger. You know, we've got to get back to accepting others' opinions. It doesn't mean that they're right. Doesn't mean you're right, or if they're wrong, you're wrong. So, yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well, Josiah, bro, thank you for joining me on this very fun, fantastic episode of Tales from Peridia. This was I've said it the literal last like 10 interviews. So this was probably one of the best and like most engaging ones that I've had. I've just met so many great people through the community lately. So
yeah,
I love building it up.
So I just been busy a lot, but I know Star Wars Gay's been inviting me a lot more, and I'm trying to like find time to do it though. So I think he's gonna have another one. I'm gonna try to join that one. But yeah, I'm definitely.
Hey, bro, just whenever you get a chance to join us, man, just fucking hit one of us up, man. We'll make something work.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on, man.
Of course. Well, thank you to everybody watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go follow Josiah. His all his information will be down in the description, and may the Force be with you always.
Always.
Peace.
Always.
No, the Force is my ally. That's all I need.